Alright, we're going to take 7 songs and show you how they sound from what's written on the musical staff. Now, we're not going to be taking the whole song, we're just going to be taking portions. Now, I've extracted the beginnings riffs of these tunes because they've been around for a while in learning guitar. Everyone should have heard these tunes one time or another. That's one reason for choosing them. The other reason is because they all have a lesson or two to teach you what we have been talking about in these 3-part series. They're not complete songs. If you can read these, you may advance on to real sheet music or another music reading book and probably have some idea of what's going on. You should listen to each tune before you play the tune exercises ahead. Alright, the ever-popular Sunshine of Your Love. Why is this a good example? Because it really focuses on the upbeat. There are 5 accented upbeats in a row, starting on the 4th note, or how we say, on the and of 2. D, A flat, G, D. Besides rhythmic interest, these particular notes also form a scale. Can you guess which scale? Well, it's the pentatonic. Alright. Now, the original music is a little more complicated because he's playing double stops or chordal notes, power chord type notes. But we're just going to take single notes here just to get the rhythmic idea. And the notes. Okay, you have your tab there. You might have to look at way up here on the 12th fret and to the 10th fret. Those notes are D, D, C natural, and D. Yes, we have a key signature. We have a key signature of 2 sharps, F sharp and C sharp. But the tune requires that we play C natural, so they put a natural sign in front of the C. Alright, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Let's hear that at a faster speed. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so we're on our way to actually learning songs and reading them. So, learn it by ear first. I mean, everyone knows how this goes. But then look at it and count it out slowly. And get the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? You don't have to count it that way either. You can also go in your head, na 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 na. But you need to feel the silent downbeat rests each time before every na. So you get na 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 na, rest, na, rest, na, rest, na. It's hard to say that, but you're doing this in your head. Rest, rest, rest. The 3rd beat in the 2nd measure should be played without hesitation. Don't be late on it. So take a look at this and try it yourself. And we'll look at the next tune now. The ever-popular Smoke on the Water. 3 downbeats, 3 upbeats. Great contrast. The whole line ends up with 2 upbeats. How do you like that? Okay, so this is going to be 2 notes at a time. We have a D and a G. D and a G, D, G. Look at the key signature, B flat and E flat. We're going to run into any B's or E's. Yeah, second measure we have a B flat. Okay, so let's get the first measure. So 1, we have the first beat is 1 and 2 and 3. So 1 and 2 and 3. 1 and 2 and 3. So easy. 1 and 2 and 3. Now 4 is going to have an upbeat. Now 4 will have an upbeat. So we get 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Let's do that part again. We have 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. So let's do the whole line together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. All right, so faster tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's all done on the 3rd fret. A little faster. 1, 2, 3, 4. Got to get those upbeats. All right. So try that out, the 8th note rests. Concentrate on those 8th note rests. There's an issue here about the 8th rests in the beginning. What if the 8th rests were taken out on the first 2 notes? What would you have if the notes took over the rests? You'd get plain old quarter notes. It would sound more like this. Instead of. So you get the plain old quarter notes. You'd have 3 quarter notes in a row. And how would it sound? It would sound just like I played it. Da, da, da. It wouldn't be the same as da, 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 da. So short, short, long, short, 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 long. Okay? So there's a reason why those 8th notes are placed after the other 8th notes instead of just putting quarter notes. So play it in strict time, but pretend there are no 8th note rests. So you'd have, again, but we know how it sounds. It's going to have those rests. Okay, so keep that in mind. Let's go on to Iron Man. What's interesting here is these are 16th notes, and there's a great variety of 8ths, quarters, and 16ths. The graphics of the slide are missing. There's a slide in here. Down, 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 down. But you can figure out how to do this even without a tab. Okay, we got B, and look at the key signature, F sharp. These are all done on this 2-note power chord configuration. Slide up to where D is. Then here's where your that's where your slide is. So we have 2 quarter notes, 2 eighth notes, and a quarter note. Now bring it all the way up to the 10th fret and go down it's all with the 2-note power chord, so just find the bottom note, find the fret, and double the time on the 16th notes. They go twice as fast as the 8th notes. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 E and a 2 and 3 and 4. And that's how Iron Man looks when it's written out. The second C is a C sharp, and as the rule is, if there's a C sharp at the beginning of the measure, the C sharp carries through the rest of the measure. That applies for any note. So now we could have used a different note there. What's another name for C sharp? Sharp notes are usually enharmonically spelled as flats. Why in this case it would be more difficult to write that other note? Well, it would be a flat, and once we use the flat, we'd have to write a natural as opposing to use one sharp. So it might be difficult, okay? So that other note, it would have been D flat. So try this now. Play it like it's in 8/8, like 8 beats to a measure, and the 8th note gets 1 beat. That means you count the quarter note for 2 beats. So you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So try it like with 8 beats in a measure, and then pretend there's a 4/4 time signature. So you go like we did before. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 E and a 2 and 3 and 4. All right. Whole lot of love. Now this one's going to be interesting to count. The first notes do not start on beat 1. Those are called pickup notes. And look at that key signature, 4 sharps. So what are we going to do with those 4 sharps? Well, I don't know. Just play them if they come up. But are they going to come up? Well, we have a D, but look, there's a natural where that D is. So consider that the D is natural, and there's no G's, there's no F's. Well, actually, it's pretty easy. Forget about the key, which is 4 sharps, because we're not going to be using any sharps in this one. This tune is mainly about rhythm, and not so much about the key signature. So, let's practice the 16th note slowly. Exaggerate the accent on the first of every group of 16ths, and really underplay the E's that follow. So let's look at those 16ths. We have B-E, we could do that on the 2nd fret, and then open string E. Alright, so we got I know it doesn't sound like it yet, but practice that for a while. Okay, Let's go a little faster. 1 and 2 E and 3 E and 4, just on the 16ths. Do a little faster. 1 E and 2 E and 3 and 4. And the last two get to that. All right. So again, 3, 4. Now let's get to the beginning. It starts on a B, on the upbeat of the 3. Okay, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 3 E and 3 E and 1 and 2 and 3 and E, not the note E, the count E. 3, 4, E, that's on the B, and so let's try it again. 1 and 2 and 3. All right, let's try this a little faster. 1, 2, 3. Alright, so that's how it goes. Alright, another tune by Credence, Down on the Quarter. Now this one is interesting because it's got the dotted quarter note followed by the single eighth note. Okay, when we went over cut time, which was very briefly, we're discussing how we make 4/4 into a 2/2. But just read this like a normal 4/4. Okay, so it's okay to count it slow at first, and then get into the notes. Now, what does slow mean to you? I bet you're thinking of 60, 1 second per beat. All right, let's see. Is that slow? Dun, dun. Alright, that's very slow. Now we're going to use the mute effect, like we did with the last tune. Actually, I didn't tell you about it. I'm keeping my palm by the bridge, muting the notes. Okay, so we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Alright, I'm going to play that without counting. And so we can do that a little faster now. We did the 60, and now we're going to do 1 and 2. Okay, so alright, let me turn the metronome off, and we're going to try to play this in the real tempo now. See if you can count it at the real tempo without messing it up. So let me count it faster. I'm going to count it like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I'll go faster on that. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So think of it now in cut time. We can go 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, there's Down on the Corner. And now House of the Rising Sun in 12/8. For practice purposes, we're going to do a count in 12. We usually count it in 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we get a fast count with that. But we're going to be practicing fairly difficult notes here, so we got to go slower and practice it in 12. So 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, it wasn't exactly the correct notes on the second line there, but I was trying to avoid copyright laws problems. And so there's your House of the Rising Sun. It's going to take some practice to get it going at a faster tempo like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, and but do it lots of times and you'll get it faster. So there it is, House of the Rising Sun. Take a good look at that. And now we'll try to look at whipping post. 11/8 time. Very rare to find something in 11/8. And there's a trick of hammering these notes. That's done by pulling off the A and hammering back on, keeping your finger anchored to the G below. And then you pick. I should have put an accent on the A's. Okay? And then you got the D, C at the very end in eighth notes. Okay, so 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And there's whipping posts for you. So these have come out kind of short and short little pieces for you to look at. But now you got some idea what you're in for, reading sheet music. And here's how we count it. 10, 11. I'm trying to explain here that you got to get that 11 in the same amount of time that you say all the other syllables. 10, 11, 1. Okay, so be careful that you don't go 10, 11. And that's what I'm going on here. Now, a lot of people just, when you're imitating it, you know how they do play air guitar and they go dano nano nano dano nano nano dano nano nano dana. Okay, it's okay to count it like that instead of using all the numbers. And so, but that's once you've internalized it. Start with the numbers and then internalize it, and you can sort of count it nana 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 nana, and you get what the groove is. Okay. That's sort of how it works. So work on that. Do the hammer pull off, and now you can read whipping post. So now after reading these 3 books, we're going to do some exercises, and I want you to go to the exercises tab, and we may talk a little more about some other subjects on some other tab there. But generally, I want you to now to go to reading different types of music. Now, the various styles of guitar have all different approaches and each various methods that exist. So if you want to start legit, you can go the route of Alfred's or Mel Bay or Jerry Snyder, and they give you a basic idea of how to read, simple tunes. And if you want to go more to jazz, you're probably not going to be reading strict jazz notes. So I would suggest the Ronnie Lee method, where he presents chords and you just read chords. But the Mickey Baker method will show you some notes to play for solos. And they give you chords, mostly block chords written out. But there are some intros which are all note written. So you'll be glad that you have some idea of what notes are like when you're reading them. Now, in classical music, go to the Shearer method. The Shearer for sure, okay? Because you'll learn to read bottom notes and upper notes. And we're going to try to get into some of that with the exercises. So go to that and see what happens. Now, if you're interested, you should already have Guitar Tabs Influx. And the other books I have here are basically not for reading until you get down to the music for kids and adults. And that gives you some idea of music notes, all written out in a comic book form. So I hope this was instructive. And look around the rest of this website, go to the bonuses, and check out the exercises. And I hope you'll get a better understanding and a good foundation for reading notes. So look ahead for more books by Gene Petty, and we're going to get another website going for learning how to practice. Hope you've enjoyed this whole series. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks again. This is Gene Petty. Take care.